of course, we apply the work in our daily lives in the way we are responsive to our environment, to the situations, and so forth. That's what the work is for. But it is also helpful to have it as a practice, and often people are not so sure. They come out maybe out of a class like this and feel a little lost in a way because our explorations are not so clear cut. So I do find it helpful for my own practice to have what we can call a routine, or just a clearly structured setting in which I explore something very specific. And I find it helpful to have a time. I just said 7 minutes. It can, of course, be any amount of time. I tend to keep it short, 6, 7 minutes, because I knowing myself, I can commit myself to 7 minutes, and then I might add another 7 minutes and maybe another 7 minutes, doing either the same exploration or experiment or doing something different. But I kind of commit myself to stick with something, even if I'm bored, even if I think it doesn't do anything. Once I start, this is what I'm going to do. And I can survive 7 minutes of boredom in the worst case. It turns out that it's actually hardly ever boring, but it can be. Maybe you think, I shouldn't have done that, but here I am. But then it's interesting to give yourself to that. What do I do now? I find it boring. Boring, of course, is a form of aversion. It's not wanting what is going on, not being satisfied with what's going on. So that's interesting to notice, I'm not pleased with this, but it is happening now. So how can I be with this? Does that make sense? You can nod, I can't hear you. So I'd like to offer you some. I'm going to keep them to 5 to 6 minutes today because we don't have that much time and I want to leave enough space between. I'm going to show you some possibilities, but you need to know that you can make anything up that is interesting for you. I'm just going to show you a few things that I like to try. I also realized, and Karen asked me how I am. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm struggling with some health issues that make it, for example, impossible for me now to lie down on the floor, and I can also not sit for very long. So I might have to move a little more than you do. And I can't show you some things, but there's actually a couple of things that are really important to me in my daily practice that I can't do, but I'll try to show them to you in some way. But let's start with something that before I met Charlotte Selber, who is the teacher of many of us, when I still lived in Switzerland, I studied with a couple of her contemporaries who have also long died since. One of them was Ruth Matter, and when I knew her, she was already in her 90s, and she'd only do individual sessions. So I'd go to her house, and we would practice. I would be there for an hour, and she would just guide me through some sequences. Almost every time she started with the same exploration. And by the way, Charlotte, when I knew her, did the same in a way. Many of you will remember, we would just sit quietly for 15 minutes. So that was her way of starting something. And then And also even before her, they would often start, Charlotte's teachers would often start with very simple breathing explorations. But here is what my teacher Ruth Mutter would do, and I'll show you, and then we practice it, and I will time it. So I will actually, when I'm on my own, I will actually set a timer for 5 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever it may be. And then I'm going to do 6 minutes for this one. And then I'll just stick with it for 6 minutes. And then I might find it interesting and continue it the same or do something completely different. Anyway, here's how this goes. For this, we sit, and I'm going to move my camera a bit so you can see me, see what's relevant here. So we would start. I'm going to make myself big because I want to make sure you can see me too. Hold on a sec. So here, so we just sit, and the hands would be on our thighs like this. And I'll just quickly go through the sequence, and then we can try each on our own. So what we would do is lift one hand, turn it around, and then set it down. And you may see how my sitting changed when I did that. And then really arriving there, and then lifting the hand, the arm, turn it around, and let it settle. So that's the exploration. We'll do it for 6 minutes. Halfway through, I will tell you, and then we can switch to the other hand. Okay, you ready? And I will time it here so you have a sense of what 6 minutes is. Okay, and I might just do a little bit of guidance, but it's very simple. Lifting, turning, let it come down. Feel how it feels through you. Can the hand rest on your thigh? And can your foot rest on the floor? And you can find your own tempo, lifting, turning, placing. So I'll just let you do that for a few minutes. And I give myself to just this. This moment. And giving myself to something doesn't mean to expect a certain outcome. But I give myself to the full experience from head to toe of just this. Does breathing respond in any way? This moment of turning the hand, how it feels through the arm. This moment of settling on my thigh. And I realize that I've long missed the 3-minute mark. Let's see how it feels if we go the full 6 minutes. How does it affect me through the trunk, through the spine? Let this be the last attempt, and let the hands both calm down. So here are 6 minutes. So if you'd stop and just feel, how am I here now? Is there a difference between left side and right side? In my arms, in my hands, but maybe also in my leg and trunk. So this would be something you could do. And I have become quite a strong believer in repetition, in trying these simple things out over and over again, and noticing how it can be rich every time. So I'm just going to jump to something completely different. We're not going to do the other side. So just something completely different, which can be a lot of fun. I am somewhat limited here in my ability to do it. Do people have a chair that actually has a back? Do you have that available, a chair with the back?
Mm-hmm.
So if you would get that, and if you don't, then I'll show you another option. A slight variation. So again, these are things that I kind of randomly pick now. They might come out of a sequence of work that I do. In this case, it's just kind of some fun things that I enjoy doing. So I want to make sure that you can see me. I'm going to make myself big again. Let's see. So this can be a fun exploration in that you stand, let's say, on the side, kind of behind the chair, and your hand is placed kind of on one side of the back of the chair. And from here, this is kind of the fulcrum. This hand always stays there. But from here, you're going to explore what kind of movements are possible. Don't go fast. Just explore how much freedom do I have when my hand stays in one place. And you can turn the hand in that one place. That's okay. It just stays there. And then you just kind of playfully, and I'm very tempted, I can get quite into this, but I have to be careful. You can try all kinds of things. Can I sit down like this? And just take your time to feel how, there's a lot of movement in your shoulder joints, in your arms, if you go down on your knees. Come up, going slowly. So again, we can do this for a few minutes. You keep going, but also let yourself take a break to feel, am I too fast? Am I too slow? How am I here now? And if I let myself play in a gentle way, where can I land with this? And how does it feel through the shoulder joints in my in the back, the length of the spine, and my connection with the floor. You could also use your other hand to touch the shoulder joint and feel with your hand how open it is and where it maybe needs more time. You don't want to hurt yourself. But just to explore our incredible movability, the shoulders are quite a complicated joint. And often they're held very much. How long can the spine become if I stretch out or anything that feels interesting and feels good? And then come to standing. And let your hand leave the chair. And if your eyes aren't closed, maybe close them now and just again feel, how am I here now? What's the mood? What's the bodily mood? How does it feel in me? Differences between left and right. Fun. I want to go back to a very simple, quote unquote, boring thing. And if you have anything, do you have a stone at hand? And I'm realizing this stone is way too heavy for me today. So I found an onion that I could use. This could be the latest sensory awareness prop, the onion. So, but anything that has has a clear weight, there's something, and that and this kind of hand is not too big. And then come up to standing. Make sure that you can see me here. Can't see myself. Again, so you make these up for yourself. I'm just today suggesting this. You hold the stone, onion, whatever handful you have there. And then you feel how it comes up against the pull of gravity when you let the arm come up. Feel it's being pulled down against the energy you bring into bringing it up high. And now you can't see what I'm doing here. And then you let the other arm come up. And you pass it to the other arm. You let this arm come down without the stone onion until it really hangs. And I'm going to have to come down because my arm doesn't want this here. You're going to really let this arm hang while the other arm is still up. In my case, this is how high it can go right now. And then I follow the pull of gravity. I follow the guidance of the onion, down, until this arm is hanging too. And then I pass the onion stone behind my back to the other hand. I lift again the onion up. So I'll give us a few minutes here to just this. Now this hand comes up. Don't look to me, I can't actually do it in the way I would want to. Now I follow here. And this hand comes down. So let's do this for a few minutes and I will be quiet. Just let yourself, if you had no teacher telling you what you should be feeling, what should be happening, if you just give yourself to this moment by moment, I will go just for about 4 minutes now. Feeling the pull of gravity. I said I wouldn't say anything. Here I go. What are you experiencing? What is interesting for you right now? I just give myself to this simple movement. Drop everything else. You may notice how interest comes and goes. You may notice how sometimes you're right there, and then a minute later you notice that you've been really not there. No judgment necessary. You could just note that, oh, I wasn't here. Now I'm right here. Right here. Feeling the connection of the onion with the earth. Feeling how my arms come to hanging. How the floor supports me in this exploration. Stay with it for another minute. And then let this be the last attempt and put your object away and just give yourself a moment to feel how we are now from head to toe. So we're kind of jumping from one to the other thing, but for me, what is important that you would take away from today is that you could make such explorations up on your own, simple things. And, you know, I wanted to do a ton more, but an hour is very short. And just simple thing, it could be an everyday movement of bringing an object from this place of the room to that place of the room, or from high up to low down. So to just not to think too much about it, but to just say, okay, let me just do this for 6 minutes, and maybe it's nothing, but maybe it is something, or 7 minutes. Does that make sense? I want to hear, especially if for someone thinks, no, that I really wouldn't be able to do that, I'd like you to speak up. So for those of you who know me, is that it is very hard for me to let an hour go by without doing anything with a stick. So I didn't ask you to bring sticks, but I want to I want to try to show you, and I realize that I'm actually not in a condition to completely do that, but this sticks, these poles have been around this work for 100 years, and they've been used in many different ways. And I would highly recommend that you get a stick, of about, what this is about maybe 3 feet or so, or 3.5, maybe. The important is that it would be at least the length of from the top of your head to below the end of the spine. In fact, I want you to get 2 of these sticks. And this is something I really do every day, several times a day often. And I find it just most helpful. This is a bit unorthodox for sensory awareness people, but I'm going to recommend that you have 2 sticks. And you would put them on the floor. And again, I can't show it to you, but maybe there's a video somewhere that I could find. You would put it on the floor, and then you would lie on it with the head on it, and with the poles on either side of the spine. So the spine would kind of lie here in the middle. The head would be on the poles, and your legs are standing. This is ridiculous, but it is actually not. I just can't show you, unfortunately. So you would just lie there and feel how long does the spine want to become between those poles. How can I make myself comfortable lying there? My legs standing, not long, my legs standing. And then from there, you could either just lie there for 6 minutes, and I tell you, you will find a lot of changes and adjustments slowly happening, not forced, but slowly happening. I've never tried to explain a sensory awareness experiment without showing it. This is an interesting thing. So, can you follow me so far? Good. Good. And then from there, you can then bring your hands up in the air and just play with your hands, and play a little bit with balance on the spine while you are lying on it. Then, your hands would go up and you would play. And then, of course, next you could bring one foot up, one leg up, and then the other leg up, and you would just kind of playfully explore. If you fall off the poles, you're not going to fall very far. It's not very dangerous, or not on a tightrope here. But you would just explore from there how it feels to challenge your balance a little bit, and and then from there you can do anything, whatever you feel inspired to do. I promise you that I will get well again and do it with you in person sometime, just not now. And even a friend of mine, colleague of ours, Thomas in Germany, he says he does this every night before he goes to bed. He does not let an evening go by without lying on the pole for 20 minutes, half an hour. He lies on just one. I'm a softie. I lie on two. I actually find it more useful, but the classic thing is to have just one pole and you balance on it. Just to lie there and instead of reading the newspaper, reading what the floor has to say to you and the pole and the spine. And it could affect how you sleep profoundly.